Buy fresh, buy local. It's a national trend and a proliferation of farmers markets all over the country. But with this proliferation of specially produced local produce and vegetables, it's extremely important to know exactly what you're paying for, what you're giving, what you're getting. And that's why we're here today to talk to Steve Malone. Now, Steve Malone is with the Department of Agriculture in the state of Nebraska, and he heads up the division of weights and measures. Steve Malone, thanks for joining us on Next Biz Success.
Well, thanks for having me, Lynn.
My pleasure to have you here, and you are a precise person. You are all about accuracy, and you are here to really make sure everybody gets fair value in the whole exploding world of farmers markets, right?
Well, absolutely. Not just farmers markets, but all commercial transactions where weighing and measuring takes place, like livestock auction markets or the gas station or a grain elevator, but also in every one of these farmers markets that are cropping up, and it's really a booming business.
It's a booming business. We're not only seeing consumers coming down here, shoppers, but we're also seeing restaurants and grocery store buyers. They're all showing up here at the farmers market.
Right. There are people buying from all walks of life and from restaurants, businesses, grocery stores, like you said, and these products that they're purchasing are fresh, they're wholesome, and people want to make sure they get what they pay for.
Yeah.
So when they buy a pound of tomatoes, that's actually a pound. Or if they buy a head of cabbage, they know what they're going to pay for it and what it weighs.
Now, we're here at Havelock. Havelock is a neighborhood or community area in the Lincoln, Nebraska area. And this is just one example of farmers markets. And you'll look around, you'll see scales. Isn't that right, Steve?
Right. There'll be a number of scales at each one, number of vendors. Some have them, some don't.
Yeah.
They have an option. If they want to sell by weight, they need to have a scale that's certified and registered with the department.
Okay.
And we check those on an annual basis to make sure they function properly. They calculate the mathematical equation for the price per pound,
Okay.
and they do those things correctly.
Now, is there any particular type of scale? Or, I mean, there's a broad range of scales you can use.
Oh, sure. There's what they call a computing scale and a non-computing scale. The scale at this booth is what we call a computing scale because they can enter the price per pound, and they put the cabbage on there, it weighs it, and then it calculates the total price they'll sell.
Okay, so you got the per pound price and all
Right.
that, and so it just calculates everything out.
Right. Now, a vendor could also have what we call a non-computing scale, where they're just getting the weight and then they use a calculator to calculate.
Okay. Now, have there been a lot of problems or questions or confusion about the exactly getting what I'm getting and weights and measures and so on? Or is it growing in proportion to the proliferation of farmers markets?
Well, it's growing
Yeah.
because of the number of markets, and I think a lot of the vendors, when they first started,
Yes.
this is a learning experience. It's new for them. They've grown their produce over the years and maybe sold it, exchange it with neighbors or whatever, but
It's a very informal economy.
Right, and
Yeah,
they haven't
absolutely.
come to the market, and so their first adventures to the market, they got involved with Steve and weights and measures, and we had to help try to educate them on what to do and
All right.
and how to make a profit at this business.
Well, let's pretend that we are talking to people who are wannabe, aspiring entrepreneurs, producers in the local area and so on. What are the 2 or 3 things they really have to understand when it comes to doing this correctly?
Well, I think the first biggest thing is, are you going to sell this product from bulk? In other words, like this cabbage here, that's a sale from bulk.
Okay.
There's
no packaging around
There's
it.
no packaging around it. The consumer is going to come up and they're going to pick out the one they want.
Yep.
And then the vendor is going to put it on this scale and they're going to weigh it.
Yep.
That's a sale from bulk.
Okay.
Some people don't like to buy products that people have handled.
Yeah.
So they want it packaged.
Sure.
So you may also find vendors that only package products, or they do a combination of bulk or prepackaged
All right,
to
that's
please their customer.
All right.
So that's some of the first decisions you have to make.
Now, what about labeling that goes on the packaged products?
Right, and the farmers markets, anything sold by weight, measure, count in package form has to have a label with a quantity statement on it. But you'll notice in the farmers markets, they'll normally have a placard on the table that will say what the product is and what the net quantity statement is.
Sure.
We encourage vendors to put their names on the packages,
To brand it a little bit?
to brand it, because when they take it home, when the consumer takes it home,
Right.
it's great, because then, hey, I know who I bought that from. I bought that from the Johnson's Produce.
That's the brand
and I want to go
recognition
back
thing.
here. And
Absolutely.
so that's why we try to encourage them to put it on the label. Now, any regular supermarkets required to put those types of items on a package label.
Right.
Farmers markets have been given a little exception for that.
Sure. Now, as this thing continues to grow and get bigger, are there going to be more stringent regulations, more things we need to be aware of as they kind of come at us, and there are trends and stuff in this whole area?
Well, probably not so much from Weights and Measures. We've been doing the same thing since biblical times, so we probably won't
You're an
see a lot of-
ancient vocation.
An ancient, yeah. The only trend would possibly be if we see people get into doing anything with barcoding and scanning, you know, the more sophisticated thing like you see at the grocery store.
Sure.
But I don't envision that for the farmers market.
All right.
The other areas though, food sanitation, health, that type of thing.
That's a changing
That's
scene.
a changing thing all the time.
All right.
So-
Now I'm going to get into business. I'm growing my produce. I'm proud of it. I want to go to the farmer's market for the first time. I got to buy my first scale. Where do I go? Is there someplace I'm supposed to go to buy this?
In Nebraska, you can come to our website and look for scale dealers.
Okay.
Or you can go to the local phone book. A lot of people will go to the internet to buy a scale.
All right.
The only thing that we recommend is that before you purchase it, before you spend one dime, call
Yes.
my office and we'll tell you if we can approve it, because there are scales out there that
Okay.
will even say right on them, not legal for trade. If you buy one of those, we can't approve it.
Right.
So before you purchase anything, call us with the make and model number and we'll assist you through the process.
All right. Well, Steve Malone, let me ask you this. Can you sell the same product in bulk and package form when you're out there in the farmer's market environment? What's the big deal there on weights and measures?
Sure. Let's take strawberries for an example.
Okay, yeah.
You've seen strawberries sold from bulk by weight,
Sure.
and then you've seen them sold in little pint containers like they have raspberries here.
Sure.
If a vendor is going to do that, they can only do one method at a time. They can either sell it from bulk or they can sell it prepackaged by weight, but they cannot sell it by weight and by dry measure at the same time,
Really?
because the consumer can't make a value comparison between the two. They can't tell how much product they're getting based on weight or based on, and compare the other one based on volume.
Well, I tell you what, this has been a technical breakthrough for me. I appreciate it, Steve Malone. You're with the Weights and Measures Division here at the Ag Division or Department here in the Nebraska area, and you've told us really the preliminary, the first and most important steps to doing it in the farmer's market environment. Thanks very much for joining
bet,
us
Lynn.
on Next
Anytime.
Biz Success. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Now you can keep on going and you can keep on growing, literally. Thanks.